Hello, namaste. This is Yash Sharma, and this is my first YouTube video. I never thought I'm gonna make my first YouTube video about this particular topic. So it's a data analysis project. So the requirement of this project. I'm so sorry for the background noise, by the way. So the requirement of this project was to make a video and explain about the approach and describe how I did this particular project. So just give me a minute. I'll just shut my door. Yeah, so sorry. And I am really sorry in advance if I fumble in between or I make a blunder with my English or whatever. So yeah, because this is my first video, so I am nervous actually. Anyways, so let's get into the project. Let's learn what the project is about first. So your final project, which it is not. I have two more projects. I don't know. I think it's a typo. We are providing you with a data set having different TV airing brands, their product, their category. Data set includes the network through which ads are airing, types of network like cable broadcast, and the show name also on which ads got aired. You can also see the data of day parts, time zone, and time and date at which ads got aired. It also includes other data like what position, the lesser the valuable, duration for which ads aired on the screen, equivalent sales, which is missing from the dataset, by the way. It's not there, so yeah, we'll see about that. And total amount spent on ads aired. So now let's just talk about, let me first show you. Let's get familiar with the dataset. We have read the theoretical part. Now this I'm so sorry guys. Okay, yeah. So this the first column we have got is network. This is, I think, the count ID, the network ID, the number of ads. So this is a unique ad. Then we have got network type. So I've basically sorted and filtered the columns so that we can easily see some of the unique values in case of fewer unique values. So we have got broadcast and cable in this particular section. So we're going to talk about broadcast. So actually, let's just talk about broadcast and cable. So broadcast is basically, it includes the channels like news channels, travel related channels, food related channels, informative related channels like Discovery, your news channels, your TLC travel and food blogs, and everything like that. And it has a lot of exposure, right? So many people, almost all the mature people and people who are studying, everybody, they watch some kind of news channel. And the young generation is actually, they're much more into travel and food blogs. So yeah, it has a very high rate of exposure, and hence it is more costlier than the cable TV. The cable TV is your general, nowadays it is getting very popular. The fiber, the cable, the internet that we get, and then it is somehow being connected with our set-top box. And so this is actually more uh, region specific. So you can, the brands can actually target regions and target their particular audiences. What type of audiences, what kind of geo region they want their ads to be, you know, aired at. So, and it is actually very cheaper than the broadcast. So they have their own pros and cons, with good balance. It works wonderfully. We're going to talk about this thing later on when we discuss about the questions. And then we have show, which is the channel, like Sony Max, Colors, Starplus, and all that. Then we have date and time. Then we have pot position. So pot position, this is actually a topic of this is the topic of our first question. So we're going to discuss about this on our first question in our first question. And then we have day parts. This is we are going to all we will discuss about this also in the later part of the video. Then we have duration, EP points, spend. This is the expenditure, the broadcast year, the broadcast month, quarter. Please ignore this column. I have made this column manually. This was not in this data set. It will be required, we have to make it. We're going to talk about this as well in the later section, the later part of the video. So sorry guys if I fumble or anything. And then we have broadcast week, day of week, hour of day, and time zone. These last three columns, they look very irrelevant as of now. And now let's get into our first question. Let's look at the question. So what is spot position now? Uh, Support position is nothing. It's like a very simple concept. Suppose you're watching India Pakistan cricket series, and then we have this particular we have this various breaks in between those matches, and there are a couple of ads running in those in those particular break frame. So your first ad that runs, let's take an example like a Honda car, an advertisement of a Honda car, and then we are in the second position. So there's an advertisement of Tata Motor car. So the Honda car has a pot position of number one, and the Tata car has the pot position of number two. That is what is pot position all about. And then, does the pot position number affect the amount spent on ads for a specific period of time by a company? Explain in details with example from the data set provided. Okay, so let's go on to our analysis. Okay. Yeah, so for this particular question, what I've done is, guys, I've created a pivot table. Now let me show you how to actually create a pivot table quick. I won't take much time first. So yeah, so this is our data that we saw earlier. So how do we create a pivot table? See, no, I'm going to show you from this one. Let me show you from this one. Okay. So this is our data. We're going to select all this data from this button. We're going to go into the insert ribbon, and then insert tab, and then from the ribbon we're going to select pivot table, and from table for range we're going to hit on new worksheet. This is our data that has already been selected. We're going to hit OK, and we will get an interface like this. So now we're going to put brands into the row section, because we we want to do an analysis across the row. We're going to put brand in it. We're going to put pot position in the column section, and what we need to figure out is the spend. So we're going to put this in the value section, and so this is the sum of spend, right? And what is the question? What is the question asked us? Does the pot position number affect the amount spent on ads for a specific period of time by a company? Alright, we're gonna actually do an average spend. So we're gonna change the value of the sum of spend. We're gonna click on this, we're gonna click on value field settings, and we're gonna select average. Okay, and then maybe we would want to format this data and remove the decimals. Okay, I'm so sorry, I didn't select the data. Just remove the decimals just for the sake of simplicity. And like this we have We successfully made our pivot table which looks like this. And then what I've done is I've created distinct data from this particular data. I've made distinct data of particular brand with their port position and their average spend for each position, as you can see. Now let's understand what we can observe. So I've plot a scatter plot. Just select this data and go into insert, go into the scatter chart and plot this. So you'll get this scatter plot. And so yeah, as you can see for Honda cars, as the port position increases initially until the 10th position, we can see a surge in the average spend, and then it drastically falls until position 25, and then there is a spike near 27th position, and eventually it falls again. We can see in Hyundai Motors, it's a bit messy initially. It starts to fall, then it starts to starts increasing again, and then it drastically falls actually until and stays in a range but kept falling until like 15th position, and then again there's a spike near the 20th 23rd, something like that, and eventually it falls. Now we can see the same pattern in Mahindra and Mahindra, Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors and Toyota. So the one common pattern that we can see here is that at the very beginning and at the very end of the pot position, usually we can see that their average spend is higher. Now, why is that? Now, think logically. The first advertisement that we see and the last advertisement that we see, it has the most impact on us. Subconsciously we remember those ads and everything. So that is that is the probable reason for these pot position being costlier, and hence the average spend is costly is higher. So sorry. Coming to the second question, what is the share of various brand in TV airings and how has it changed from quarter one to quarter four? So guys, if you remember, I told you earlier, I'll show it to you. There was no quarter, there was no quarter column, but I made it manually with the help of this month column. Now, so by the way, I'm making this video for the second time because for the first time my voice didn't got record, and hence like the video was of like 35 minutes and it was like a total mess. So in that I actually wrote this whole formula, but again I'm gonna walk you through the formula again. So what I've done in this particular formula is that I've used a conditional if formula, and with an or operator because we want to write just one formula, and if any of the three conditions that I have written, condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, and for quarter 4 there is no condition. It's just that if none of these three values are true, then it will automatically pick quarter 4. So yeah, so I've used or operator. So if any of these conditions are met, we will get these values. That is, value if true, quarter 1 will be displayed. If if these values are true, quarter 2 will be displayed, and so on and so forth. So what I've done is like if bracket or operator, and then again in parentheses I will this particular I've selected O2, that is this particular column, equals to Jan, or if this particular column equals to Feb, or if this particular column equals to March, then parenthesis closed, comma, if value true, quarter 1 is the string that we want to display in this particular column. P P2, right? And that is how I've done for the quarter 2, April, May, June, and for July, August, September, quarter 3. And for quarter 4, you can see that if value is false, if all these three conditions are not met, then we're going to simply display, the formula is going to display quarter 4. Now there are three parentheses closed because we have used three if conditions, as you can see. And the starting point of the parenthesis for this, if, this, and this never close. So we have three uh, closing parentheses over here, and that is how this formula runs. Now many of you like may have this question that, all right, I cannot drag the this formula, and we cannot use the drag feature for like 7,031,785 rows. So what you can do is, actually, let me show you. I'll just select all and cut this formula, and select this and delete this. Run the formula again, paste it here, enter quarter 1 there, and then what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna simply press control down, yeah, control shift down. So as you can see, it has selected all the cells, down to 10,48,000, blah blah blah. But yeah, we have got no other options. Actually, what we can do is we can um, just fill anything in this so that it just selects until here, up till here. Yeah, yeah, there we go. And then we're gonna hit Control D. So this automatically actually inserts or runs the formula for each cell that is selected in this particular selection. So yeah, let it load, and there we go, there we have. And yeah, it is fine, it's just doing fine. So going back again to our analysis, option 2. So as you can see, we have the sum of spend in percentage. So remember when I did the alright, I'm going to show you. So we have quarter, the sum of spend for each quarter, and then we have number of ads, that is count of ad ID for all the 4 quarters. And then what I have done is, actually I've extracted and made distinct data of sum spend, count ID in percentage for all the 4 quarters, brand by brand, just so that we can make these chart easily. Now how did I convert this in percentage? Well, in the value section, you're gonna hit and you're gonna select value for, let me show you actually. I can show you. So where did I do the I don't know. I'm so sorry guys, taking so much of time, just trying to figure out something. Alright, so basically Why am I not getting any? Okay, I'm gonna just show you. So how do you change the values to percentage? Let me show you. After you're done with creating the pivot table. So yeah, let me show you. So this is just an example, guys. So you click on sum of spend. You click on value field settings, show value as no calculation. You're gonna select percentage of row total. Now for this particular thing, mm, so yeah, for this particular thing I have selected total of row percentage, so that I can get the total spend, total sum spend, and total count of ID in percentage as well, because I have to make this total share analysis a part of my analysis as well. So yeah, let's get into the analysis. For Honda cars, we can see that it has actually spent 3.80% in its first quarter. Then the expenditure decreased, and again eventually it increased the most in quarter three, and then again it got decreased. Now we can see that Honda is actually getting more ads in terms of percentage than any of the other brands. You can see there the sum spend is 13.62%, but it's getting 10.48% only. For Mahindra and Mahindra, it's like they're spending 27.60%, but they're just getting 19.71%. For Maruti Suzuki, its sum spend is 40.39, they're getting 38.78. So for Maruti Suzuki, it's very close. The sum spend and count ID, and we can actually what we can observe here is that for Maruti Suzuki in its last quarter, the sum spend actually decreased and the count ID increased. This may be now. Why is this? Like, why is that Honda car spending less and getting more ads when compared to the other brand? Because Honda car, actually, we will discuss this in our next question as well. But Honda car may be um, opting for cheaper day parts or the slots in which it is airing its ad. Makes sense, right? So they're choosing a cheaper time of the day or the week or the month, whatever, to air their ad when compared to the other brands. So when we see the same thing for Tata Motors, it's like double, and then it's like, you know, the sum spend is okay. The sum spend is actually lower for Tata Motors as well, and the count ID, the count is actually higher. In quarter four, actually Tata Motors somewhat applied the same strategy as Honda. They're spending less, they're getting very much out of it, but still they're not as conservative as Honda. For Toyota, it's more or less the same, the some spend and what they're getting out of it. And if we see the total share, the most number of ads that has been run is by Maruti Suzuki with 38.30%. Now this is now this is like including all the quarters, guys. And so sorry. And Mahindra, they're followed by Mahindra and Mahindra with 20.21%, followed by Tata Motors Yeah, followed by Honda Cars, that is 11.65%, and then Tata Motors 11.07%, and so on. So now from this data, actually, what we can figure out as well is that when I compared online from external sources, from economics time network and other sources as well, that which brands are the actually the top three brands in India in the automobile industry. So I found that Maruti Suzuki actually leads the board, then Mahindra and Mahindra leads the board, and then Tata Motors. So these are actually the top three, uh, companies that are actually opting for the most number of ads as well. So yeah, let's jump to the third question, which is kind of interconnected. So sorry for the background noise, by the way. Conduct a competitive analysis for brands and define advertisement strategy of different brands and how it differs across the brands. Okay, so let me go to the question. So again, we have used pivot tables and we have what the brands and the network type is broadcast and cable. In the in the row section and in the column section, we have some of spend and some of IDs and everything. So as you can see, there's a clear cut pattern if you observe, guys. All the brands are actually investing more in the cable category with 2.40%, and in broadcast it's just 1.07% for Honda cars. For Hyundai Motors India, in cable category they are invested 6.76%, and in broadcast 6.23% only. And if you see except Honda cars, where they are spending 1.07% and getting 1.46% of ads, is higher, as we discussed earlier, because they're choosing cheaper cheaper day parts that we're going to talk about here. As you can see, Honda Motors is actually investing most in the daytime, where most of the people are at job. So that time slot may be the cheaper one, hence they're getting more ads. But other than that, all the other brands are, of course, let's take an example of Hyundai Motors, 6.23%, just getting 0.66%. Mahindra and Mahindra, 13.01%, just getting 1.90% out of it. And this is the case with every other brand. And so yeah, that is a clear cut pattern that most of the brands are preferring cable. Now there is no preference actually, as I stated you earlier, as I told you earlier. These brands are actually targeting a particular audience and targeting a particular region, and broadcast through cable TV and broadcast, it has a very wide exposure. So if you see, these brands are somewhere, they have a little percentage of distribution in the day parts across all the categories, daytime, early fringe, early morning, so that so okay, so let's actually analyze this data as well. So here what I have done is again created another pivot table, and in this one I have actually chosen the day parts as my column, and then the brands in my rows, and then the values in between. So, and this is actually the count of ID, the sum of spend actually for these day parts, for these particular brands. And as you can see, Honda car is actually heavily invested in the early time frames, in daytime, in early fringe, in early morning, and then in prime time, they're only invested 14.51%. That is the least among all the brands. Whereas Mahindra and Mahindra and Hyundai Motors and Maruti Suzuki, even Tata Motors, they are heavily invested in the prime time, and these are actually their most. These are the this is the day part category which these brands are invested the most in, right? Yeah. So, and if you talk about Toyota, it is heavily invested in the weekend. Actually, it is the most the brand with which is most invested in the weekend category. So yeah, so what we can observe, so as I told you earlier, the top three brands in the automobile industry in India, these are actually Mahindra and Mahindra, Maruti Suzuki, and Tata Motors. Hyundai Motors, there was no clear cut, there was no I don't know, like I didn't, maybe I didn't found it, or I don't know what was the case, but I didn't got any good source of profit and loss, sales, and all of the balance sheet data for the Hyundai Motors. So I don't know very much about this Hyundai Motors, but yeah, what was clear was this: these three were the Mahindra, Mahindra, Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors were the top three brands and the most profitable brands in India. And what we can see through their advertisement is that they are actually very well balanced in a balanced distribution across this day part. They have most of their most of its some distribute invested in the prime time and the daytime, whereas Honda, it is actually Honda, I think, is mostly invested in daytime, early fringe, early morning. Maybe because they're trying to attract the more mature category who rises very early in the morning, and then the young generation that actually stays most active in the daytime, in their free time, and all that. That may be their strategy, but and actually, Honda is like in the top five category in automobile industry when it comes to two wheelers. Anyways, uh, yeah, now let's jump to our fourth question that is actually uh, interconnected. Mahindra and Mahindra wants to run a digital ad campaign to complement its existing TV ads in quarter one of 2022. Based on the data from 2021's assistant media plan to the CMO of Mahindra and Mahindra, which audience should? So I'm so sorry if I'm reading very fast. Which audience should they target? So basically, what they're trying to ask us is, Mahindra and Mahindra wants to run an ad campaign, a digital ad campaign. So, based on this data, what can we suggest Mahindra and Mahindra? What type of audience to target? So, I think Mahindra and Mahindra should stick to what they're currently, whatever their current strategy is. That is very much clear. Oh, now why am I saying that? So we didn't have any profit or sales figure as it was mentioned in the description, but we didn't have any in the data set. So I referred to the external resources of economics time and everything, and I found that Mahindra and Mahindra actually made the most profit in the latest results among all the automobiles company in India, followed by Maruti Suzuki. Now, usually I also compared the 5 years data, and Maruti Suzuki actually was the leader. It was at the top of the board. But then it is also kind of unfair to compare Maruti Suzuki and Mahindra because Maruti Suzuki has literally 12 billion of more market cap than Mahindra and Mahindra, and still Mahindra and Mahindra, it was the top, the most profit maker in their last results. So, and their sales are also increasing after they entered in the EV section, and the SUV section is also doing pretty good. So yeah, I think it should stick to the audience, the type of audience they are currently targeting, and yeah, that is pretty much what I concluded, and that is what I would have suggested in Mahindra and Mahindra. And if still if it needs to make any changes, their direct competition is actually Maruti Suzuki. So so what I would prefer is that to match what Maruti Suzuki is, uh, to match the way Maruti Suzuki is investing across this day part. So what it could do is we can see lower its a very lower the investment. Actually, you can actually ignore that because it's pretty much the same, 18.22% and 17.40% for weekend. Almost exactly the same for prime time. They can increase their stake in, or they can actually ignore this as well. So what I think, they should actually decrease their exposure in the daytime, and they can increase in the early morning time, because Maruti Suzuki is spending 5.18%. Honda car is actually spending 10.76%. Now, why early morning? Honda, maybe, as I said earlier, maybe targeting the early risers, which are like, they're mostly the mature, the mature category of people, or maybe the people who are salaried persons and they have to go to job early, so they might, here and there watch some TV news channels and everything, because Honda is mostly, you know, prefer the broadcast way of airing the ads. So yeah, they could, Mahindra and Mahindra could actually increase a little bit of their stake in early morning, and then in the late fringe as well. So yeah, I think it may or may not change their strategy. Even if they have to, they should just, go with the Maruti Suzuki way, because it's a brand which is like a direct competition. Because if we compare the last 5 years of data, Maruti Suzuki is actually top, in the leaderboard, has top the leaderboard. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Thank you so much, guys. And I think I should actually just give you a quick look of my presentation that I made. I don't know if this was necessary. I think it is necessary, yeah, just to show. So I'll just quickly slide through. So this is actually the data that I showed you in the Excel sheet. And by the way, why did I choose Excel? Because it was a requirement for me to do this particular project on Excel. We could have used, Python, using pandas and everything, and it would have been very easy. But it was a requirement, for us to do this project on Excel, so that we can, get comfortable with Excel as well. Because there are many companies who requires us to perform tasks on Excel as well when it comes to data analysis. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, and I'm very sorry again if I fumbled or made any mistake or blunder during this video. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.